Well, that was quite the quick reversal and also quite humiliating for Donald Trump, who just endorsed Larry Hogan, who is the Republican candidate for the Senate seat in Maryland. And after Trump endorsed Larry Hogan, who used to be the governor of Maryland, responded and said, Governor Hogan has been clear he is not supporting Donald Trump, just as he didn't in 2016 and 2020. And when I say quite the reversal, Donald Trump's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, who co-chairs the RNC, just a few weeks ago said that Larry Hogan does not deserve the respect of anyone in the Republican Party and does not deserve the respect of anybody in America. And then one of Trump's top campaign people, Chris LaCivita, also said to Larry Hogan a few weeks back, you just ended your campaign. And they encouraged all the MAGA Republicans to attack Larry Hogan. But now Trump is endorsing Larry Hogan. Larry Hogan is rejecting that endorsement because it clearly shows as well that what Donald Trump is interested in is trying to use Larry Hogan as a pawn in Maryland so that Trump can have an extreme MAGA takeover of the Senate and take away the freedoms of Americans and institute an extreme MAGA agenda, institute the Project 2025 plans of basically having Donald Trump become a dictator with a compliant Republican Senate. So just to break this all down for you, let me just share with you, this is when Donald Trump just endorsed Larry Hogan, the Republican running for Senate in the state of Maryland. Let me show you this clip. Let's play it.
Are you going to support Larry Hogan to win that Senate seat?
Yeah, I'd like to see him win. I think he has a good chance to win. I would like to see him win. And we got to take the majority. We have to straighten out our country. So I'd like to see him win. He's somebody that can win.
And then a few weeks back, right before Donald Trump was convicted on the 34 separate felony counts for falsifying business records in connection with making hush money payments to a porn star, Larry Hogan put out the following statement. He said, regardless of the result, I urge all Americans to respect the verdict and the legal process. At this dangerously divided moment in our history, all leaders, regardless of party, must not pour fuel on the fire with more toxic partisanship. We must reaffirm what has made this nation great, the rule of law. And because Larry Hogan said respect the verdict and the legal process, Chris LaCivita, who's high up in Trump's campaign, said, you just ended your campaign to Governor Larry Hogan. And then Lara Trump did an interview with CNN where she was asked, so does the RNC support Larry Hogan for the Senate? Are you going to give Larry Hogan money? And Lara Trump said, no, I don't support what he said. He doesn't deserve the respect of the Republican Party. And frankly, he doesn't deserve the respect of anyone in America because he had the audacity to say that we should respect a jury verdict. Here, play this clip.
Republican Senate candidate Larry Hogan in Maryland, and again, I'm asking you this in your capacity as one of the co-chairs of the entire Republican Party, and he's a popular former governor in Maryland. He wrote this right ahead of the verdict. He said, quote, regardless of the result, I urge all Americans to respect the verdict and the legal process. That is not the Republican Party line at the moment, and in fact, he was attacked by the top Trump advisor, Chris LaCivita, who wrote that he, quote, just ended your campaign, end quote. Does the Republican National Committee support Larry Hogan for Senate?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't support what he just said there. I think it's ridiculous. And I think anybody who's not speaking up in the face of really something that should never again have seen the light of day, a trial that would never have been brought against any other person aside from Donald Trump.
But does the RNC support his bid?
The respect of anyone. Well,
he doesn't deserve the respect of anyone?
He doesn't deserve the respect of anyone in the Republican Party at this point. And quite frankly, anybody in America, if that's the way you feel, that's very upsetting to hear that.
So are you willing to cede the Senate seat in Maryland to the Democratic Party and not support Larry Hogan?
What I'll tell you is that we, of course, want to win as a party, but that is a shame. And I think he should have thought long and hard before he said that publicly.
Are you willing to use Republican Party resources to support his bid or not? It sounds like you're saying you're not.
Well, I'll get back to you on all the specifics monetarily, but what I can tell you is that as the Republican Party co-chair, I think he should never have said something like that. I think that's ridiculous.
Okay.
So just a few weeks after that, though, Donald Trump is now saying that he's endorsing Larry Hogan, and Larry Hogan saying, don't do that. I don't want your support, please. I'm not looking for that. Ken Ullman, who's the chair of the Maryland Democratic Party, he came out with a video right away and said, look, Trump endorsed Larry Hogan because he wants a Senate majority that's beholden to Trump. Maryland voters know what's at stake in this election and will vote to stop an extreme MAGA Republican takeover of Washington. Here's what the chair of the Maryland Democratic Party had to say. Play the clip.
Hi, Ken Ullman here, chair of the Maryland Democratic Party, and I just wanted to share some breaking news. I just actually stepped out of a big meeting to share it with you, but Donald Trump has just officially endorsed Larry Hogan for Senate in Maryland. Now we know this race is crystal clear what is at stake in November. Donald Trump and Larry Hogan are running together. Donald Trump knows that the U.S. Senate is in play and that Larry Hogan will be the 51st vote for Republicans to control the Senate to support Donald Trump's agenda. Democrats, independents, and Republicans who know how important this is, we need your help. We can't have a further packing of the Supreme Court jeopardizing our freedoms and everything that'll come along with having Donald Trump and Larry Hogan and the Republicans in the U.S. Senate in charge. We need your help. We need your support. Thank you.
Angela Alsobrooks, the Democratic candidate for Senate, she's incredible. She writes, the stakes of this race could not get any higher. Just last week, Senate Republicans shot down access to contraception. Hours ago, Senate Republicans voted against protecting IVF. And just now, Donald Trump endorsed Larry Hogan so he can have a Republican majority. And here's Angela Alsobrooks speaking about the importance of this election for her daughter, for millions of women across America, and the threat that Larry Hogan poses, because Larry Hogan is just a proxy now of Donald Trump to implement an extreme MAGA agenda. That means taking away your Social Security. It means banning IVF. It means banning contraception. It means monitoring women's pregnancies and women's periods. It means arresting doctors who aid women in their reproductive health. It means locking up women. It means tax cuts for billionaires and decamillionaires while the workers get screwed. It means screwing over unions. It means harming the American workers' wages. That's what it means. And here's Angela Alsobrooks in her own words. Here, play this clip.
What do you expect to be the most important issue between you and Larry Hogan in this campaign?
Well, you know, there are many policy issues. I think the issue of choice is the one that I hear most about. You know, I have an 18-year-old daughter, and like so many, I am so concerned about her right to privacy and freedom, the right to make her own decisions about her body. And this is an issue that is, by the way, not only important to so many women, but this is also important to men, fathers and grandfathers who want their daughters to have more rights than their mothers and grandmothers and not fewer. So this is one of the issues that I believe is going to be a seminal issue in this election, although there are many others. The Supreme Court is an issue as well, who we would appoint there, sensible gun legislation, economic opportunity and what that looks like. So there are many, many issues, but I believe these policy differences will be really the issues that divide us. And I think ultimately Marylanders want to keep the Senate blue.
You know, interestingly, when the red wave never materialized, despite the media narrative and the bogus polling out there, Larry Hogan was complaining that Donald Trump is a loser. And everything that Donald Trump touches, he loses over and over again. Remember what Larry Hogan said back in the midterms? Here, play this clip.
On talking about issues people cared about, like the economy and crime and education, they did win. But people who tried to relitigate the 2020 election and focused on conspiracy theories and talked about things the voters didn't care about, they were almost universally rejected. And I think it's basically the third election in a row that Donald Trump has cost us the race. And it's like, 3 strikes, you're out.
Well, do you think that's true? Because we've heard that after one strike and two strikes, to keep your analogy going.
Well, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And you know, Donald Trump kept saying, we're going to be winning so much, we'll get tired of winning. I'm tired of losing. I mean, that's
so as Larry Hogan sees it, he is now being attached to loser Donald Trump. Trump is attaching himself to Larry Hogan and making his intentions very, very clear. And that's why Larry Hogan's saying, I do not want that endorsement. I don't support him. And so an interesting kind of turn of events there. And just an interesting dynamic all around, right? Because on the other hand, you have some MAGA Republicans like Bob Good, who Donald Trump dressed up at the courthouse, who was there at the courthouse steps, attacking the judge's daughter for Donald Trump, like just acting a fool and making a fool of himself and saying, Donald Trump's being treated so unfairly. And then Donald Trump puts out a statement saying, I don't support Bob Good. Bob Good is bad for Virginia. Bob Good's the worst. And Donald Trump puts out that statement after he dressed up Bob Good in a tie and made Bob Good show up at the trial and parade himself in front of there. But here's the overall message I'll leave you with, which is, you know this, but Trump has zero principles. Zero principles. He stands for nothing. He falls for everything. The Republican Party stands for nothing, falls for everything, other than what Donald Trump says on any given day. So 3 weeks ago, you could have Larry Trump and all the top RNC people saying that Larry Hogan is the worst. Larry Hogan's a horrible. Larry Hogan does not deserve the respect of anybody. He's scum. He's horrible, right? And then 3 weeks later, I endorse him. I want Larry Hogan. I want Larry Hogan. Why? Because Trump wants to institute an extreme MAGA agenda, and he thinks that's a path to take over the Senate. But when you're led by your just hunger for power at any cost, damn the torpedoes, screw Americans, that's the MAGA way. Americans are smart. Don't treat us like we're dumb. We love our Constitution. We love our flag. We love our country. We know con artists. You may be able to trick some MAGA, but we know what your plan is with Larry Hogan. And Larry Hogan, you've been exposed now as well. You can reject it all you want. You've been exposed too. There you have it. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers together. Have a good one.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.